Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Just thought I would pop in and talk to you about what's going on in the planets and the stars. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for July 7th through 10th, 2019. So today, Mercury started its retrograde. Now, actually, we have been feeling this energy for a couple of weeks since Mercury went into its shadow period in last month, in June, right before the solstice, or right at the solstice. And so what's going on here is that we had that incredibly powerful total solar eclipse, which put us into this place in Cancer, put us into this place of timelessness, this suspended feeling, which that's kind of what happens with eclipses. They're out of time. It's like we kind of zip into another dimensional reality for a little while some adjustment is happening. Eclipses are hiding things and then revealing things, making things darker and then lighter, bringing to the surface the shadow so that more light can come into our lives. But there's a very strange feeling. So we're in between eclipses right now, which has that strange feeling, and Mercury has turned retrograde. So what this means is that we are going to be here in this feeling of in between, suspended, kind of outside of time. It's a magical place, but it's also a confusing place. Now, Mercury has taken this retrograde at 4 degrees. Right now, today, it's at 4 degrees Leo. That means it's less than 2 degrees away from a square with Uranus in Taurus. Okay, now Uranus and Taurus, we've been talking about this, about how the physical reality is trying to get an upgrade and get infused with this new energy. It represents the new energy is trying to come in, and this shift into the Aquarian age and into our everyday reality, into our physical world. So Mercury taking this retrograde just before it comes into the square with Uranus in Leo. It's gone into Leo, but only 4 degrees. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, I got to go back. And where is it going back to? It's going back into Cancer. So it will go back into Cancer on the 19th of July. And we actually have that partial lunar eclipse on the 16th. Okay, so we're in this weird in-between time. We've got this, then we're going to have this lunar eclipse, which is going to be in Capricorn, right next to Pluto, and then Mercury will retrograde back into Cancer. And so it's bringing this feeling of like this uncomfortable feeling, and all we've been feeling for the last month or so, last 3 weeks or so, ever since the solstice, we've been feeling like we are stuck in between the past and the future, and some uncomfortable emotional stuff, grief and sadness, loss, all kinds of emotions coming up around the past, and that's keeping us stuck in the past. And we're literally, with this Mercury retrograde happening in between eclipses, it's like we're just been boomeranged back into the past again. But we can't quite go all the way to the past because it doesn't really even exist. And that's what's giving us this sensation of just floating. And we've been in and out of this sensation, it feels like, for the last couple of years. And it's been huge with, just bam, right when we started off this year, 2019, with all of those Neptune transits, and last month, all those really powerful Neptune transits, bringing an energy of confusion. Now, Neptune in Pisces, the energy of Pisces has that whole outside of time type of energy, and that's been the backdrop. And now here we are with this Mercury retrograde, and we kind of have to just wait it out. Again, maybe we can see this time like we are in this huge adjustment, and one of the pictures that comes forward around this is a train in the roundhouse, and it's like the roundhouse is turning around. It's like, well, what track? And then when things are in a circle like that and it all looks the same, it's really hard to find out where you are. So we're waiting for the roundhouse to get on the right track, but what is the right track? And maybe that's what the intensity, the potency of the time that's going on right now is, that we're being pushed to drop our stories, drop our karma, so that we can align with that optimal timeline. Now, I think this is going to be some of the themes that are going to be coming up in this partial lunar eclipse that happens on the 16th. Sounds like some timeline alignment stuff. And so I'm doing another soul group session. This is a group intuitive session, and that will be for this on the 16th at 3 p.m. in Mountain Time. And that will be to celebrate, make the most of this partial lunar eclipse, which is actually a completion of the total solar eclipse, right? They go together, and we're not going to be coming out of that energy until the new moon in Leo that happens on the 31st of July. Now, that's the same day that that Mercury turns direct. So we're just in a cooker right now, but maybe we're in this, and it's also that suspended out of time feeling. So it's frustrating because it's like so much stuff's coming up, so much emotions coming up from the past, so much stuff around where your life, is not where you want it to be, with all this Cancer stuff and the North Node in Cancer. And then, though, we're feeling like we can't take any action to do anything about it. Now, part of that energy is coming from this intense conjunction that we're going to be feeling in exact until July 12th. That is Saturn conjunct the South Node. Okay, so this is where our karmic breakdown's coming. This is where we're coming up against the wall. We've got as far as we can go down this track, and maybe that's why we're in the roundhouse right now. But it feels like maybe the life we knew is, and what we've been comfortable with, whatever's made us comfortable, emotionally, spiritually, physically, is kind of being tested right now. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, so what is comfortable? What is actual comfort? Are we here for physical comfort, which is a beautiful thing? There's nothing wrong with it, but we're actually here for spiritual comfort. So the work we're doing right now is actually going to pay off way down the road when we're not in this body anymore, when we're not in this life. And this is the weird times where shit like this comes up, where you think about these things. Like, how is it going to be for me in my next life? Or how is it going to be for me when I pass from this body and review this lifetime, right? Like, we're doing intense, deep spiritual work that could pay off for a very long time. It's invisible. There's no validation. There's no rule book or guidebook or map, right? We're just stuck in the roundhouse hoping that it ends at the right place. So how do we get there? How do we get to the right track, to the right timeline? That is through vibrational alignment. So everything right now is showing us where we've got these old stories, we've got these old beliefs, and they're keeping us from getting into that alignment with the optimal timeline that's trying to land. This is everything that's going on with this, the message behind Uranus and Taurus, landing new energies, coming home to planet Earth, and Mercury being like, I'm not quite ready. Like, it's got this energy. We talked about this, where like a baby coming down the birth canal, being birthed into this reality and being like, putting those feet out, brakes on, like, no, I can't, I'm not going here. I can't go. I can't. Just the intensity and the overwhelm of what might lie ahead for us is causing a lot of stress. So a lot of the stress, though, that's coming, see, the message there is that the stress in our life is coming a lot from resistance, where we're in resistance to the changes and to the shifts and to the alignment that's trying to happen. And we do need to be born and be here and be present fully. That's part of this Uranus and Taurus energies, in order to complete what we came here to do and be present with what's happening. So many of these types of souls that are called to this work, light worker souls, indigo souls, kind of spent this whole incarnation barely here, kind of floating above, maybe almost like there's a placeholder of you here. And now is the time to come home, and it's like, we have a choice. Maybe the choice that we're being asked to make is like, do you want to stay suspended and like in these patterns as the wheel of samsara and come back again and again and have the same stories again and again? Or do you want out of this trap? You know, and to get out of this trap, we got to wake up to who we really are. We got to start living a life that's meaningful, not just right here, right now. You know, we get so caught up in what we need to do here now to make our life better, but we're not really in charge in that way. And what we need to do to make our life better is face these emotions, face these traumas, clear up this karma from the past, get these old stories and programming that doesn't resonate with who we are out of the way, so we can find that optimal vibrational alignment to come into that ideal energy. We don't even have to know what it is, but we do need to drop some old shit and that's what we're being shown, right? And so it's that weird feeling again that we've been just feeling for so long, of this past holding us back and the realities of that, but then no real feeling or sense or direction or where to go in the future. And with this Mercury retrograde, that is really coming up. Mercury moves into the sign of Leo, ruled by the sun. It's about action, it's about shining, it's about expressing, and then it's like, ooh, back into Cancer, you know, back into the depths of whether or not and where and how you feel nurtured, you feel cared for, you feel loved, you feel supported. And how do we get that? How do we open up and receive and allow that level of support to receive who we really are, right? And to receive the support we need from this universe. We've all been taught and programmed to think that we're not supported here. That's just the lower grid. That's the lower matrix grid. It's all working against you spiritually. But when you can break out of that lower matrix grid, that's when you can move into the higher dimensional vibrational energies that want to hold you and support you. And that's a really good picture for what's going on right now, the suspended feeling. But that moving into those new energies requires a letting go, the ego death, that shift, whatever, you know, it's different for everybody depending on how this affects your chart and where you're at in your process. But we are being called to do something, and yet we can't do anything. You know, it's really frustrating. So that's what's going on in these next couple of days. We've got the Mercury retrograde is going to go to the end of the month through that partial solar eclipse. Now, what happens with this retrograde is that Mercury slows down, right? And that means it stays again very close to it. Had a whole week, more than a week, very close, right around that solstice with Mars. Mercury and Mars conjunction. This is a very powerful energy, and it's coming back. So what happened in that around the solstice was an inner experience of this Mercury and Mars in Cancer. Now Mercury and Mars are in Leo, and Leo's like, bleh, you know, so there's a power energy behind our words, our communication, our thoughts, our concepts. There's an opportunity here to claim and own your own reality and what's true for you. Not according to what everybody else is painting for you. Oh, this is who you are. This is what you need to do in this world. This is the box that you fit in, right, for everybody else. And Leo is not interested in that. Leo wants to shine that individual light. And with Mercury there, that's our conceptual reality, but it's also our communication. And there's a power of expression with our words, like, this is who I am, and I can't change it, you know, like as far as trying to fit into the conforms of this society and being what this society tells us we should be, which is basically a robot. You know, we're moving in that direction towards being a soulless automaton, right? But that's not who we are. We have this beautiful individual spark of creativity and energy and essence and power and life force available to us. Plus, we have this whole treasure trove of spiritual gifts that we've earned and learned about, and talents and skills from past lives. But it is probably, the treasure chest has been kept from us, right? Like, it's been traumatized away, like, oh, that's bad, you can't handle it, those gifts aren't yours to have. We got to claim those back. That's what Leo really wants to shine, is that individual light and individual way of expressing creation energy and God's love in this world. And so this is a huge time to claim that back with your voice. Now that's going to last. They're going to stay really close together until, so we're already feeling this. In the next few days, they're going to be really close, and they're going to stay close until the 12th. Like, we'll still be feeling this. And so Mercury and Mars coming together, it's explosive expression, but expression of who you really are and creativity. So it can be really powerful, and maybe that's what we need to break out of this chains of the past, because at the same time we've got this Saturn conjunct the South Node until the 12th. So this period of time right now, this next week is really potent around breaking chains from the past. And it's that weird thing though, because it's like we're suspended. So how do you take action, and how do you know how to do it? We've got some intuitive information trying to come in. Now that always happens when Uranus is activated. And so especially Mercury and Uranus. So Mercury is in this almost square right now with Uranus. And it's like we have an opportunity to, through intuition, come closer to who we really are and receive downloads from our higher self. Now, it's interesting because Mars will be coming into a square. Now, we're starting to feel this right now already because Mercury and Mars are so close, right? So Mercury doesn't make it into the square with Uranus, but Mars does. And so Mars is representing this energy, and we're going to be feeling that right up until that partial lunar eclipse, but we're feeling it already. And now Mars says let's go, especially in Leo. Mars is really happy to be out of Cancer, wallowing around trying to figure out what's going on, some direction, how to move forward when it's all just a circular game, right? And now Mars is in Leo. It understands fire. It wants to go and express, and let's do this. And then bam, right into a square with Uranus. So squares have attention energy, and Mars wants to go forward. Uranus is saying, yeah, we got some new stuff to do, but you can't just barrel through this one, right? Landing spiritual energy on the planet that's been like, we've been trying to, the age of Aquarius is a 2100 year cycle. Okay, so we're like, and then with the whole ages, the shift of ages, if you put them all together, is 26,000 years. We have a culmination energy going on right now with these things lining up. So it's like, okay, thousands and thousands of years, and we're trying to land this new energy, this Aquarian age, energy. It's going to take it's a little bit, it's a big project. And Mars kind of just wants to barrel through and get it done and just see something happen, right? And Uranus is saying, got some adjustment. So where's the adjustment need to happen? Mars is in Leo. Are you willing to shine your light? How are you going to get to these new energies? Think somebody else is going to come along and shine your light for you? Show you how to do it, tell you what to do, give you permission? Not going to happen. This is an activation of a spiritual will, an activation of that decision and a commitment to this experience so that you can get on with it, right? So everything that's blocking, so that's an interesting energy, because Mercury came into is in that square, and then going backwards, saying, no, we're not ready. We don't know what's going on. And Mars is like, come on, let's make some stuff happen. So we're coming up against everything that is keeping us from really moving forward, and maybe that's kind of the deal. We think we've been moving forward, but maybe it's in the wrong direction. We've been moving forward according to this world and what's okay and what's acceptable in the lower matrix paradigm, and we need to move like on a whole nother level, right? And Mars is getting schooled up right now. So how do we move on a whole nother level? That's through shining our light, expressing our truth, grabbing a hold of this creative energy, this life force that's available to us. And so That's interesting because, again, when Uranus is involved, there's always information opportunities, higher information, channeled information from your own higher self, but also kind of a connection to ancient wisdom, connection to ancient past lives where you were working with technology and energy and spiritual truths way beyond what we have access to or we're told today, right? And this is coming up a ton right now. Karma from Atlantean time, and the destruction and the trying to clear these energies of fear out around moving into the new energies, moving into the new technology, moving into the next phase, because there's just a ton of programming and blockage energy. That's kind of that Saturn South Node, right? So we got Saturn South Node, karmic bloom, pointing way back to ancient times when we knew more than we know now, and it's breaking through. You know, Uranus has this energy of shaking things up and breaking through and illuminating, and so that information is trying to come through, but it's about the ancient past. But it's about the ancient past when you were more, aware and working with energies than, and technology that we have, more than we have access or are allowed, right? We've been programmed deeply against this energy, and yet Uranus and Taurus is saying it's time to land it. And so can we do this? Can we move into this energy without fear, without projecting this fear from the past? We want to take the good stuff from the past, the ancient wisdom and the technology that can be so helpful for humanity, and not the fear energy and the programming that says that it's not safe for us. So we're just sorting through a lot of stuff right now, so it's probably a good time for 2 eclipses, Mercury retrograde crossing over 2 eclipses. Okay, so here we are. Now, Venus is in Cancer. So Mercury has, moved into Leo. Mars has moved into Leo, and Venus is in Cancer now. That is bringing it into tomorrow. We're going to feel this exact. Venus on the 8th, Venus square Chiron. And Chiron is a wounded healer. It's an Aries. So we're talking about wounds around ourselves. Everything kind of we've been talking about. Like, is it okay to be who you really are? Is it okay to be on your spiritual path, or do you have to keep on this lower vibrational reality in order to survive? Because it's like, it's this frustration I can feel in these souls of like wanting to just race out ahead, like getting sick of playing these roles that don't have deeper meaning, like waiting around for life to make sense and have meaning. So this is what's going on here, because Venus in square to Chiron is bringing up in Cancer, very emotional, right? We're still having this Cancer energy, North Node in Cancer, and it's saying, where do I don't know if it's okay. I don't know if I deserve it. I'm too hurt. I'm too broken. I can't be who I really am. It's just safer and easier for me to crawl in my shell and isolate and just keep playing the game, keep playing the roles that everybody wants me to play, and I'm depressed about it, and I have no zest for life, but it's okay because so this is the stuff that's coming up around Venus square Cancer, and it's a heavy energy with, at the same time of all this other stuff, Saturn conjunct the South Node, Mercury and Mars on square to Uranus. Whoa, it's intense, but it's also really powerful because it's this breaking of the chains energy. And where are those chains in your life that around this Chiron and Aries energy that keeps you from really expressing the truth of who you are? Because that truth of who you are is beautiful, and we've been told it's ugly or bad or wrong or shameful or we'll just fail, so why bother? There's just so much stories around it. But this zest, this energy, this treasure trove of gifts that you've worked on for many lifetimes is beautiful. It's going to feel good. It's going to feel really just so satisfying to express. And it's there for you. It's there for all of us. We got to just somehow find the map. So the treasure map is going to be landing. Maybe that's part of this this Uranus energy, but you know, when Mercury makes it out of the retrograde, it goes to the 31st, and then it's going to come out of its shadow around mid-August and come back into that square with Uranus. And when that passes, that's when Jupiter goes direct as well. And that's going to be when we get the map, right? Or we find the treasure, or whatever analogy, you know, we'll be all at different places with this process. Maybe we get aligned with that timeline and we can whoosh, go again. But we've got some time in the roundhouse and some time in the confusion and suspended, and it's all about breaking the chains so we can align with that future and find that treasure chest, receive the gifts of who we are as a soul spirit. See, this is the deal. When we go through, all the souls that are paying attention to this message right now have gone through many evolutions. You've all gone through spiritual ascension already, okay? And yet we're dealing with all this programmed fear around it, you know, and that doesn't make sense. We've already done this. We've already known. You came into this evolution as a full initiate. You need no process. You need no schooling. You need to remember who you are. So that treasure trove of who you are and these gifts that you were maybe actively working with in the time in Atlantis, but was with that programming of what happened in Atlantis, told, you know, that what came forward is that you can't handle it. It's too much for you. It's going to blow up the planet, right? But those treasure trove is these gifts that you've gained. There's some things we take with us besides karma and bad memories that we can't even access in our subconscious from past lives. We take with us our gifts and skills that we've honed, and because of those traumas in Atlantis, we haven't been able to really claim those back and know we even have access to them. So we're trying to open the treasure trove, and we're just trying to get the map and find the direction and align and release, break the chains, break the programming. Because if we're going to try to move forward with these chains and the old programming, we're just going to be stuck in fear energy. And we've got to evolve beyond this, right? But that's why it's coming up. So maybe with this Cancer energy, we still got the Sun in Cancer, and now Venus in Cancer can help resolve and help us nurture ourselves back into this alignment and out of those old stories. So I hope that you'll consider joining me for that soul group session and group intuitive session that's going to happen on the 16th, the day of that partial lunar eclipse in Capricorn. So I will look for you there, and until next time, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.